everybody, it is me, Plantain Charlene, and today I wanted to do a video on my newest babies to my collection. Alright guys, so the reason why the lighting is a little different this time around is because I wanted the light to focus more on the plants. Give me 1 second, let me turn off this fan. Alright, sorry about that. So again, today's video is going to be about some plants that I purchased from Farmer Joe's Plants. And I wanted to kind of have the light focused on the plants and just do something a little different. So there's about 7 plants in here, but I promise this video won't be too long. So just stick with me, okay? And as always, you know that I want to shout out everyone who has subscribed to my channel, watched my videos, liked, commented, clicked the bell, or shared any of my videos. I appreciate every last one of you. So thank you so much. Okay, so the first plant we're going to start off with is actually a plant that I owned before, but unfortunately it was killed by spider mites. My husband had purchased it for me for Christmas and 2019, I believe, and here it is. It is the Fatsia Japonica. I could totally be butchering that name, but hey, that's how I roll. So this plant, as I noted, I first had received it from Plant Arena, and it was in a 6-inch pot. Beautiful plant. I really love this plant, and I know I wanted to replace it. There's more than one version of this plant, and the thing about it that I like the most is the size that it gets. Now these leaves are very small right now because it is only in a 2.5-inch pot, and I know that I wanted to replace it and this time watch it grow into a larger pot, a larger size plant. But I am going to watch it carefully, knowing that spider mites are a serious pest and are attracted to this plant. Okay, so this plant is also known as the Japanese Aurelia. It is common to Japan and Korea. It is known to be grown outdoors, not so much indoors, but it can be grown as an indoor plant. But grown outside, it is an evergreen shrub. It's normally grown in a shaded area, so anything like under the canopy of a tree or some type of shade. And it does like to have its soil kept moist. So when you're growing this plant indoors, make sure that you watch it carefully because it tends to dry out faster when it's grown as an indoor house plant. If you do grow this plant indoors, you want to grow it in an east-facing window, but make sure you do not put it in a window that has that receives its most sun, because it can burn the foliage. If that's the only option that you do have, you might want to take it back at least 5-6 feet from that window, or put it behind like a shaded, or not a shaded, a sheer curtain. I couldn't remember that. And again, about the water, you don't want this plant to dry out completely. The leaves will get crispy and excuse me, and brown if you let it dry out too much. You want to keep it in a keep the soil moist. The soil is not so important as much as it is how moist you keep it. So any kind of soil that likes to stay moist more, you might want to I got a phone call, but I think I forgot what I was saying, but I think I was talking about the soil. This plant really doesn't mind what type of soil it has, as long as it's kept moist. So you can do stuff like add vermiculite, because vermiculite holds moisture. Peat moss soil also holds moisture. And you don't have to worry about like a bunch of perlite, because then that's going to make it very airy and help it dry out faster. And you definitely don't want like a succulent style mix where the soil is meant to dry quicker, and adding like bark. You don't need any of that. You want this plant to sit in not wet but moist soil as long as possible. definitely do not let it dry out completely, okay? So let's keep that in mind. Okay, so fertilizer. Fertilizer can be used during the time that the plant is growing, which quote unquote can be called the growing season. That can be winter, that could be spring, it could be summer, it could be fall. It's really dependent on the plant. Some plants grow more in the winter because they are winter plants. This plant is not necessarily called or a winter, or it's not really seen as a winter plant, but because it's an evergreen bush, shrub more like it, it's outdoors more than not, right? So if you, well, obviously, if you're a shrub, you're outdoors. Basically, with the fertilizer, if you see that the plant is slowed down, it's growing to a point where it's really resting, don't fertilize it. Okay, so when you see it's actively growing, like pushing out 2-3 new leaves at a time, then yeah, you can fertilize it. But if you see it's pushed out one leaf, it's really small, and or stem, whatever, and that was it in 4 weeks, but during the summer and springtime it was pushing out 3 to 4, say every 2 weeks, then you have an understanding of what you would want to consider the growing season. Propagating this plant, you can cut at the stem or the growing area. This plant can get pretty tall. Like I said, when I had it before, it wasn't a 6-inch pot. And if I have any kind of picture or something, I'll show you guys. So this, being that this plant can get pretty tall, the more you cut it back, the bushier it will get. So if that's what you're looking for, then that's what you want to do. And I said propagating, but I meant to say pruning. As far as propagation goes, you want to propagate the tip cuttings, and you can either put it in water and let it water propagate, or you can stick it right into soil and propagate this plant. It does prefer warmer temperatures, but it can handle as low as 50 degrees. Again, it is an outdoor shrub. And that is it for my Fatsia Japonica, aka Japanese Aurelia, one of the varieties. All right, my next one is another Aurelia. This one is known as the false Aurelia variegated. It also is in a 2.5-inch pot, also known as the spider Aurelia or threadleaf Aurelia, which is new to me because I've always known it as a false Aurelia. Now this plant can grow pretty fast and pretty tall too. It is prone to spider mites as well and other plant pests. This plant does like indirect sunlight, so if you can put it near a sunny window, but like its cousin, the trying to get out, the what is it? Fatsia Japonica, it too should not be in a super bright light. It wants to be in a bright room, but if you have nothing but, say, afternoon sunny windows, then I would say take it back about 5 feet away from that window, or if you can, all you can do is put it on a shelf, then put it behind a sheer curtain to help block some of the sun's rays. Otherwise, these leaf tips will burn. So watering with this plant, you can let like the top inch of the pot dry out, but don't let it dry out completely. If you notice that the leaves are falling off very fast, then you're underwatering this plant. You can fertilize this plant as well during its regular growing season. Again, if you see that it's pushing out a lot of new leaves, then that is a growing time for the plant. If it's slowed down a lot, then that is a rest period for the plant. So that's not when you want to fertilize this one. I've spoken a little earlier about plant pests. This plant is also prone to mealybugs. So spider mites and mealybugs are attracted to this plant. Okay, so my next plant is my little Alocasia Bambino. Another 2.5-inch pot. So these again are my little babies that I purchased, and this is much smaller than I thought it would be, but maybe once it matures some more, the plant will grow bigger. So there it is. Now I have about 3 alocasias within my collection. This will be the first time I'm trying. No, I have more than that, but anyway, this will be new to my collection. This one I wanted to start small as well because I'm running out of space, and there it is. That's the main reason why I wanted to start small. I'm running out of space. I recently purchased some larger plants, and that's not what I would prefer because it's harder to figure out where the plant would go when it's in a bigger pot. So with these, I have options. So I said to myself, try smaller so you have room. But I am concerned about the spider mite issue that alocasias bring. They are highly prone to getting spider mites. I'm going to watch it carefully and wash it often because I don't want them dying thanks to some stinky pests. This plant does like to receive indirect light as well. It likes to keep its soil moist, not sopping wet, just moist. This one can dry out, but not, you don't want this drying out too much because alocasias do prefer their soil to stay more moist. And if you say, let this dry out, like this is only in a 2.5-inch pot, and let's say I let it dry out halfway, I want to be careful to not let it dry out more than that because I personally think it's too much as is. And considering that my area that I live in, which I believe is zone 7B, I go through seasons, and though there's humidity in the spring and summer, the humidity during this time of year is very low. So the soil drying out is more optional to happen faster during a dry time of the year. This plant will be living in a glass jar so that the humidity levels can be higher, and they're all currently sitting in this. So as you see, there's more plants to come, and because they all came together is why they're all going to live together, but they all have been like treated, and they will continue to be treated. And I'm hoping that this plant will mature. I think this one actually stays, it doesn't grow as long as most alocasias, hence the name Bambino, but it will at least get a little taller than this, but stay more compact versus, you know, growing out widely and longer. So that's another reason why I was attracted to this plant. So, and I wanted to give it a try. Now this next plant, when it arrived, this is how it looked. Can you guess what this is supposed to be? It is an angel wing begonia. Let me think here. Amazing Grace. And I had to write them to let them know this is how it arrived, because that's a problem. There's not a leaf on here. All of them were dead and sitting on top of the sphagnum moss, and it was totally dry, and I mean dry, desert dry. And that's my result of what the plant looks like. Now it does look like there's a chance of something growing on there, so I'm not, like, this area looks like it could shoot out something, but I did write them, and I'm hoping they'll write me back to tell me how we're going to handle this, because I did take video of this when it arrived. So I really don't have much to say about this one because, right, the next one is also an angel wing begonia. This is the Medora Polka Dot, I believe. 2.5-inch pot like all the others. And this one arrived looking a lot better than its cousin, but that's okay. It wasn't as dry, but it was drying out. The plants itself took a long time to arrive, which was was very confusing. I'm talking like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after I ordered it, it arrived. So I don't know if it was because it was sitting at the post office or if it was the fact that they didn't ship it out yet, but it did take some time, and I was afraid that all of them would be dead, but everything is starting, other than that one begonia I just showed you, everything is looking good. So begonias. Begonias and I really love them. I'm hoping that was sphagnum moss. I really love them, but and you know, they like me. I have several plants in this world that I love and they like me, so I tend to fall in love faster. I guess that's my thing, and that's okay. But this plant does like for its soil to be kept moist. It is for me, it's fast growing. I can't call it for anybody else. I've owned one before. I know I killed it because I kept changing where it was and I was overwatering it. So don't do that. You know, don't be like me. And I kept thinking, oh no, it'll look good here. Oh no, it'll look good here. And I should have never moved it, because where it was when I first put it there, it was growing so nicely. It probably was in the same size pot, and it doubled in size in no time. And I bought it during the spring or summer. So being that we're still in winter, I'm expecting this plant to do well this year. This plant, I don't think it grows as big as some of the other style of begonias that look like this, but they're beautiful to me, and I love those dots on it. You see that? The pattern. So I'm waiting to see how this one turns out. What I do like about begonias is that they flower. Now the flowers may not be that fancy or showy to some, but I think they're very pretty, and this begonia does flower. Also, I think I noted about light. It's indirect light. So again, if it's a bright sunny window, pull it back about 5 feet from that window. But if you can't, put it behind a sheer curtain so that it can block some of the rays. If you fertilize this plant, you should use one that's high in nitrogen, because that'll help these leaves get larger, which I remembered after, that these leaves can get nice and large. Some people may cut back the flowers if they want the focus to just be on these beautiful leaves. Note, if you can't put this plant near a brighter area and it's more in a low light area, low light being you don't need to turn a light on to read a book or read something that's not on a monitor screen, because the monitor has light. So if you have a book, or if you're reading your mail or something like that, if you don't need to turn on the light, that's low light. This plant won't flower in the lower light, or it's less likely to flower in the lower light. So if you are looking for it to flower, you will need to bring it closer to the light. And if you want to help the flowering, you want to use some type of phosphorus. That's it. I'm not sure if you guys heard that scream, but anyway, you want to use something high in phosphorus, because that will help this begonia or begonias flower. One thing about this plant, well, it's not just this plant, any plant, as it's growing, this plant can, basically what I'm trying to get to is this plant can be repotted every year. That'll help it grow larger as well. So each year, if you see, well, and you're not held to that year, like, oh, it's a new year, let me repot it. If you choose to repot it, you can repot it yearly during the spring. And that will help also with the plant growing bigger. So like any plant, the smaller the pot that you keep it in, unless it's a plant that likes to be kept root bound, you want to repot it so you give your plant a chance to grow and become a bigger plant. And I think that is it for this. This is my begonia. I don't want to make my video too long. Okay, bye on this one. Okay, next is my I was about to call it a begonia. It is a Philodendron Moonlight. Yay. And you see that little new growth growing? Now this one, I'm so happy I got that. Now I'm not really sure if that's leaves or not, but doesn't matter. I'm so happy I have this plant. The first time I bought it was about 8 years ago, maybe more or less. And it was about 5-6 inch pot that it was in. I didn't know about it. I just knew that I liked it. It was beautiful, the color. I had the red one too, but I don't know which one it was. And I did well with it. And I think I got a little cocky and I killed it. So years later, I am choosing to replace it, and I'm going smaller. Ta-da! Things are different, right? I'm wearing something different. It's daylight. So I couldn't finish my video that day, and then things got turned upside down around in my home. Major delay. So here I am, and I only have one more plant to show. So I'm going to show that to you guys now. So the last plant I wanted to show you guys was my pitcher plant. When I purchased it, or more so when I started the video, it was in its 2-inch pot, but I have repotted it since making this video, and it's now living in this self-watering pot, which I think is one of the cutest things. The only issue I have with this pot is that should the light hit this with water in it, you'll develop algae. Anyway, this is what like I said, is a pitcher plant. It's a carnivorous plant. So that means it eats bugs. It eats whatever falls into the liquid, it'll dissolve it. It doesn't chew per se. It develops a liquid in the pitchers, which if this didn't die, this would have been a pitcher that I've been able to show you, but I haven't developed one yet. This is a new leaf coming here. Maybe there'll be a picture that I can show you guys in the future, but currently I don't have any. So as I noted, it's in a self-watering pot. This type of plant does like to have its soil kept moist pretty much at all times. Maybe not so much in the winter because it kind of goes into a rest mode, but it's winter now and I am getting new leaves, but I do have it living under a glass covering, so there's a lot of humidity being kept in there. These plants do like a lot of humidity. I don't know that much about the plant. I just always wanted one. I just felt like I wanted to take the leap and go for it, see if I can keep this plant alive, because I don't think I have anything in the home that will feed it per se, other than maybe some fungus gnats. Though there can be other bugs that can crawl up. I don't know how much they'll be attracted to going into the liquid. Like maybe in the summer, in the spring, when stinky mosquitoes or flies are more frequent, this plant will come way more handy, because I believe they are attracted to the liquid that's inside of the pitcher, and that'll help me get rid of those, because those kind of bugs are annoying. So I always get a phone call nowadays when I'm trying to make a video, but like I said, I don't really remember what I said last, but this is it. That's it. I'm just gonna move on. All right guys, that's it. Those are all of the plants that I have recently purchased about a month ago, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you will consider subscribing. Definitely comment below. I'd love to hear what you think about the plants that I purchased. Let me know if you like this video. Maybe you'll share it. Click the bell to know when a new video is posted. And as always, thank you everyone. Stay blessed, stay healthy, and God bless. Bye.